I, 24F, feel uncomfortable with the relationship my husband, 32M, has with our new neighbor, 31F. I'm 24F. I am married to Brad, 32M. We've been married for a year and have two beautiful 3-year-old boys together. We moved into our house 2 years ago in Brad's hometown. About 2 months ago, a new family moved in, a couple and their young son. They were walking around the block and we were outside. Brad immediately began waving at the wife and saying hi. She ran up and it turned out that the two of them were best friends back in middle school. Christina, 31F, is married, 36M, and has a son who is also 3 like my twins. Her husband works at a nearby base and I'm in the medical field. Christina is a stay-at-home mom and Braz works from home, but the nature of his work is usually that he has a certain amount of projects to get done every day, and then he's done. He's generally up at 5 every morning, so he usually begins his projects then, and by the time the twins wake up he usually finishes all of his work, though he sometimes works more after they go to sleep. Christina and Brad have begun hanging out a lot during the day, since the boys get along so well. They do a lot of fun things together, hiking, going to the park, etc. But also everyday things like going to the grocery store together. They say it's easier, because the boys keep each other entertained. I've voiced my worry that Brad is just making Christina watch the kids the whole time, but both they and the kids have confirmed it's not Brad dumping all of the responsibility on her. Last weekend, Christina's husband and I were both available, so we all went for a hike in a spot that the boys really liked that they went to a few weeks ago because at the end was a small waterfall. As we were hiking, it was apparent how close Christina and Brad had gotten. He had told me how close they had been in middle school, that they had drifted apart in high school because they hung out with different friend groups. Brad has told me that they get along great, that he's happy they've rekindled their friendship, but I hadn't realized how close they were. They have inside jokes, they go to the grocery store together with the boys. Brad has even begun cooking dinner with her and has it waiting when I get home. Christina seems very in love with her husband. They invited us over for a barbecue the other night and they are both very in love. They're talking about when they're going to have another baby, etc. I'm just kind of uncomfortable that my husband is this close to another woman. I don't know if I would be like this if my husband was this close to a man, but my husband doesn't have any male friends he's this close to. It doesn't help that Christina is absolutely beautiful, she's smart and talented and way funnier than I am. I don't know if the jealousy I'm feeling is misplaced or not. I don't know if I should talk to him about this or not. I feel like I should add in that I definitely don't think he's cheating. They invite me and Christina's husband to come with them all the time if we're not working. She's really open and kind to me, so I don't think there's anything fishy going on other than the friendship. I mean, I guess I'd agree with everyone saying talk to him about it, but in all honesty this doesn't seem like a problem. If I moved back to my hometown and ended up living next to any of my close friends from primary, secondary school, I'd be exactly the same, regardless of gender. You're sure there's no infidelity? There's no problem here. Maybe try and organize a girls' night with her though, so you have your own bond separate from him? Absolutely, you should talk to him about it. These feelings will only eat away at you if you let them fester. This is more than likely 100% innocent and your husband doesn't realize how it's coming across. There's no harm in saying you feel it's developing a bit further than you're comfortable with. I hate to be this guy, but he's 32 and you're 24 and you're already married with 3-year-old twins? How old were you when you met, got married, had kids? A few questions. 1. Does he still spend time with you and show love and affection? 2. Is he generally a friendly person? 3. How well do you guys communicate? Answering these questions will reveal a lot in my opinion. It sounds like your husband and yourself aren't doing anything romantic, date-like, during your own time. You should start doing that. Talk to your husband about how you feel as well. One idea is that you pick one night a week where you'll watch your neighbor's children while they go on a date night and then they watch your children while you and your husband go out. And like another commenter said, strike up your own personal friendship with your neighbor. There is a lot of gender role impressions that our society pushes on us. Most of them aren't true. I'd try to work through this if I were you. Cross-gender friends are almost always good for someone's emotional growth. I disagree slightly with the "this is a problem, talk to him about it" people. I support healthy open communication, but I think just complaining to him about how this makes you feel won't be that. He's not cheating, he has a friend. The friendship seems healthy and helpful and good for your kids and even for you. Your jealousy isn't unusual, but it also isn't helpful or healthy. The solution is for you to get comfortable with the situation, rather than for him to spend less time with his friend. So I think open communication is essential, but maybe via some couples counseling where you can both talk about it openly and work together on some healthy ways of dealing with your jealousy, which seems to be the actual problem. You're allowed to feel how you feel, of course, but he's not doing anything wrong. I would suggest working with a therapist to help deal with your insecurity here. Ultimately, this is a you problem. My fiancé, 25M, might leave me over my 28F old journals. This feels so crazy for me to type out. Also long, sorry. My fiancé, 25M, and I, 28F, have been together for a little over 2 years. He's always had a problem with his temper, but from day one he has been extremely doting on me. He always makes it a point to tell me he loves me, that he thinks I'm beautiful, etc. We've had our problems. I tried to end the relationship about a year ago because of a lot of miscommunication and my poor boundaries. He begged me to stay together, said he would change, and seemed to. So here we are, a year later, now, until recently, happily engaged. We've been wanting to get out of our apartment and finally, after several months of looking, found a townhome. We have to go to a month-to-month on this apartment in order to make the move and dates work, so we're in this limbo space right now. No new lease has been officially signed, but the townhome has a deposit on it. In the meantime, we've been packing. This is what I want to ask about. I have several journals, about 7, that date back from my high school days all the way through college. They chronicle a lot: my relationship with my abusive parents, the death of a close family member, trips I've been on, my love interests, my mental health journey. They've sat on our bookshelf for a while now. Last week, my fiancé was going through the books while packing and asked me what the journals were. He picked up 3 of them and opened each one to a random story about me having sex with someone or talking about my feelings for someone. He got really upset and told me to throw them away. I said no, and he asked me why. I said I needed them for memories. I'm not very good at confrontation, so that's what came to mind. He asked me if I needed to remember having sex with other men. I tried to explain that it wasn't about that. It turned into a days-long fight. I kept the journals. It's important to me to keep them, they chronicle my life. He doesn't understand and asks if I really need journals to remember my life. He also says this means he loves me more than I love him, because he would throw anything of his away if I asked him to. Even really important, sentimental shit. I would never ask him to do that though. There's been other problems recently too. My family dog just had to be put down, so I've been an emotional wreck, and he started a new job and his schedule is all over the place. His temper has been so bad lately. After a week and a half of this, last night he said that he's been rethinking our relationship. All I can think about is, I'm really about to break up my engagement over journals. What do you guys think? Am I just being a stubborn asshole? What would you do in my situation? I am just at a loss here. Also, he won't go to therapy with me. I've been going for about a year now, but he says he doesn't need it and we should be able to talk our stuff out like rational adults. Thank you for reading. I think letting him leave is a great option. He's aggressive, jealous, and controlling. You have a past with abusive people and your fiancé is also abusive. You're just repeating the pattern of being around abuse. He's entitled to his insecure and jealous feelings. But the days of emotional pressure and attempt of control is abusive. Let the guy with unresolved anger issues who refuses therapy and wants you to destroy your own record of your life, go. Trash takes itself out. It is mental for him to suggest you should throw those out. If you have a trusted friend, give them your journals to keep safely in the meantime. These are your journals, yours, and I don't just mean that you own the books. I mean they're intrinsically personal and cannot be replaced. They're unique and they're about your life story. Do not throw them out. When you're older you'll love having stories about youth, trust me. Your partner seems extremely insecure and childish, unable to understand how you only live once and how these journals capture a unique time of your life, forever gone. Pisses me off. I'm really about to break up my engagement over journals. No, it's not about journals. It's about respect for who you are as a person, your right to hold on to memories of other parts of the journey that led you to where you are now. It's about how when two people love each other that love should never be used to cut another person down or make their life worse in any way. People who truly love you don't ask you to make sacrifices to prove yourself. It's about independence and knowing the difference between rational and irrational jealousy. Ultimately it's also about your self-respect. I just read that you don't have any friends anymore to give your journals to. Girl, he is ticking every abuser box there is. Please get out. You like it because it's familiar due to your past. You don't even recognize that it's abuse, but it is. You're definitely not being a stubborn asshole. Do not throw your journals away. He's being very immature about this. It's pretty basic. The thought of you having sex with other guys makes him insecure, even if it was in the past, so he's going for the easiest option. Woman, pledge yourself to me in any way I ask you to, because I can't bother to work on my insecurities. Tell him something along the lines of, yes, I've had sex before. Why does that shock you? We can talk about it, but I'm not going to throw away my entire life in writing, just because it documents sex. He would also be deserving of my initial versions of that, which included, just because you're insecure, and, get over yourself. But, given his bad temper and your discomfort with confrontations, I took those out. Geez, dude's got a clear problem, please just let him go. I've got a diary I started when my ex-husband first started acting abusively towards me, and it still gets added to now because, we have children together. He is still trying to control me and even trying to control our kids. I'm lucky that my current partner asked if he could read it because he wanted to fully understand what I had gone through, and so he could figure out what might trigger my PTSD in order to not let it happen. What you need is some time on your own to just be you. Go out and find yourself before you let someone else in. One of my abusive exes made me throw out the diary I kept from age 10 to 18, because I didn't need to remember my past without her in it. I did it. I'm 33 and still regret it. My husband said I was looking ridiculous when he saw me in lingerie, and it devastated me. I've 33 have been with my husband M37 for 4 years. We had some issues in our marriage here and there, but nothing major. The past year, 2020, was too much for me. I lost my mom, I lost my job, developed health issues. It was a lot I had to deal with, and I wasn't in a good place physically, emotionally nor mentally. It undoubtedly affected my marriage. My husband kept encouraging me to start taking care of my skin, wear more colorful clothes and go to the salon to get hair and nails done, but I had no energy for any of that, not to mention lack of money. He as a result grew distant from me, and our intimacy went downhill till the point where we wouldn't sleep in the same bed. Recently I got employed at a decent company. I was excited and felt like I was starting to regain my life again, and once I received my salary I decided to go do my hair and shop for new dresses, hoping it'd open up the path for my husband and I to start new and rekindle our love life. I've dyed my hair blonde just like he wanted and brought colorful dresses and organized a romantic dinner for us at home. When he saw my new look for the first time he kind of looked surprised but not thrilled. He said I looked nice and that was it. He quickly ate dinner, then went upstairs to the guest's room to sleep there. I was disappointed, as I've planned for the night to end up with us having sex for the first time in 6 months. I tried on different dresses, and tried to approach him in a certain way to get him in the mood. But he blocked me every time. I was getting frustrated, and last night I waited till 2 a.m. to enter the guest's room wearing his favorite type of lingerie, hoping he'd notice, but he didn't even look at me for more than 5 seconds, just to laugh and shrug, then said I looked ridiculous. I was mad at this point. I asked why he was laughing and wasn't this what he wanted me to do. He said he didn't want to get started with a fight, and I said he was the one acting strange and ignoring my efforts and attempts to work on our marriage. He tried to say I was being overdramatic, and I reminded him that he hasn't touched me or slept in the same bed as me for 6 months. He ignored me and kept looking at his phone. I got upset, bluntly asked if he was getting satisfied elsewhere and that he needed to tell so I won't waste any more time on this. He looked stunned, lashed out calling me crazy, then stormed out the room to sleep on the couch. I returned to the bedroom and cried. I felt awful, petty, with no self-worth because of how treated me. It's been like this for months and he doesn't seem remotely interested in working on fixing this situation. I don't even think he cares about how hurt I felt as he heard me cry last night, but didn't try to comfort me even behind the door. I feel stuck and unable to figure out a way to deal with this. I feel mostly bad because I've made so much effort just for him, and this is how he reacted. It sounds like he has contempt for you, and once contempt has crept into a marriage it's very difficult to walk back from that. Can I ask, has he ever been cruel before? Have you two ever been through a rough patch, and how was that handled? How does he handle conflict generally? Was he supportive when you lost your mom? Have you two talked at all about how this year has been for you respectively? Are you working now, or is he supporting the household? I'm just trying to gain some context on your marriage because from this situation I'm inclined to say he's just an asshole. But I recognize we're getting one slice of an entire marriage, so I want to gauge if this is completely out of character or if it's just the worst manifestation of an overall lacking character. It's been 6 months of not sleeping in the same bed, no sex. This is the thing, Op. You expect one night of you dressing up, initiating sex, and he would suddenly jump into bed and voila, problem solved. I think something has been festering in your marriage by now. And it's been there for a while. Perhaps it's due to your life's incidents, losing parents, etc. Perhaps it's more. He may have given up in his mind because things have been bad for a while. Instead of trying to seduce him, you guys need to have a talk. You need to find out what's going on with him and what's going on with you. If this is worth saving, perhaps even go on marriage counseling. I disagree with everyone saying he's cheating or that he's abusive. He tried to encourage you to make changes for a while, from what I gather from you post. Over time he grew distant and likely resentful, and although not mature, understandable. If you made all these changes suddenly and try to act like you're ready to make everything better again after he's tried for a while, then you probably made him feel like his feelings weren't valid, not a priority. He didn't act maturely, nor respectfully. But you can't expect to not put in as much patience, again, from what I gathered from the post, as he did in the beginning. It doesn't happen overnight. This certainly sucks, but you are going about this issue all wrong. You are doing so much work, which is admirable, but you are refusing to do the one thing that needs to be done here. Talk to your partner openly and honestly, and let him do the same. We have no idea what he is feeling or why, and a sudden physical change by you doesn't mean his feelings are suddenly going to change. Despite what culture tells you men are not just light switches that get flipped on at the drop of a hat. He's fucking somebody. His reaction makes me think he is cheating. Get counseling ASAP or your marriage is done. There is more to this story. You need to steel yourself emotionally and start digging so you can find out for yourself if this is a relationship worth working on. There are some bitter people on here absolutely trashing this dude. It was a years-long decline in which they didn't share affection or a bed for 6 months. A marriage takes 2 people to work well or to go to shit. This post doesn't suggest if the dude is at fault or not. Sure, he shouldn't laugh at his wife in lingerie, but should she really have walked in after 2 years of denying sex and 6 months of sleeping in separate rooms just expecting close intimacy? 99% of problems are just, talk to your partner. My 34 male, fiancé, 32 female, cheated during bachelorette party and my mother and sister lied for her. As far as I know, none of my friends or family are aware of this. Only that the wedding has been called off. What makes this worse is that after my father died 10 years ago, my mother and sister became closer and closer. The wedding was supposed to be last year but got postponed for obvious reasons. Nearly 2 weeks ago my fiancée had her bachelorette party at this spa and resort. It sounded like it was just going to be massages and drinks by the pool. My sister went because she is in the wedding party, and when my mother was also invited I scoffed at the idea that anything bad would happen. They spent 2 nights there, Friday to Sunday, and somehow on the first night my fiancée drank too much and I guess she lost her phone. My sister and mother found it and thought it would be funny to record themselves waking up my fiancée when she was hungover and passed out. The video starts with them outside my fiancé's room and they are talking about how she drank last night etc. Whne they go in the room, my fiancée is asleep in bed with a man next to her. Well, there is a lot of screaming and everything, you can probably imagine the situation. I learned about all this when got a notification that a video had been uploaded. In addition, my fiancé was logged into Messenger on my computer, so I saw a long chat record. After the surprise awakening, my fiancé locked herself in the bathroom. Over text she claims she had no memory of meeting the guy and going up to her room. Fiancé, sister and mother talk for a long time and all 3 of them agree never to speak of it again. I saw all 3 of them on Sunday for dinner after they returned and they seemed perfectly normal. My fiancé tried initiating sex that night but I said I wasn't feeling well. The next day I suggested to my fiancé that we watch a movie. I simultaneously sent my copy of the video to my mother and sister and played the clip for my fiancé on our TV. Long story short, she sobbed and apologized and made every kind of promise you can imagine. Soon after the other 2 were blowing up my phone. I told my fiancé to pack up her stuff and leave. She kept begging and at one point I thought was having a panic attack. I texted my mother and sister to come look after her while she moved her stuff out. Since then there has been a firestorm of calls and messages and visits, but I haven't spoken to anyone. How can I possibly salvage any of these relationships? Should I try and reconcile with my fiancé and family? I just don't know where to go from here. Where you go from here is to call off the wedding and dump your partner. Immediately, completely, and decisively. You can do better than this loser. I would also keep a distance from mother and sister as they are not helpful. I know that many people think that family is the most important thing and that you have to forgive them no matter what happens. Well, no. You don't have to forgive your girlfriend, sorry. The alcohol excuse is very old and very false. And your mother and your sister can stay with her. They are very good friends, the three of them will be fine. You need to get away from them and think about you and only you, and maybe in a few years you can speak to them again. Sorry, this annoys me, I can't think of doing something like that to my brothers, just no. Holy crap, man. Your mother and sister are even bigger traitors than your fiancé. If I was in your shoes, I'd dump her immediately and never talk to mother and sister again, no matter how deep the bond. But it's your life. You decide and live with the consequences. Wow, I'm so sorry, disappointed. Cut the three of them off. How disrespectful look of triumph. How can I possibly salvage any of these relationships? Dude, I don't know if you can or even if you should. What does that say about them as people that they would do this? You did the right thing, don't take it back now. Man. I don't know what to say besides the fact that this is really fucked up. Hope you have some good bros to drink with and talk this through. You dodged a bullet.